Okay, sir. Fine, sir. So I'm audible to the people of the web. Okay, right. Good. So yesterday we have created dummy response for these books. Okay, we wanted to create books and we wanted to basically store the book information. Okay, right. So what I'll try to do right now is I want to introduce databases. Okay, so for that, what I'll try to do is I'm quite sure that everyone in this classroom has learned how to create a virtual machine, and in that virtual machine install Docker. Yeah, right. So now I need a database. So there are many ways of creating databases. One is you can go to the cloud and then create a database of your choice, or the other thing which you can do is install a database on your laptop. Installing database on your laptop is something which I'll not recommend. Something which I'll not recommend. So what I'll try to do is initially I'll be trying to do everything locally in my system, and then I'll try to deploy it on a Linux machine. Authenticator. Did AWS ask you to set up MFA? Yes? No? You will be getting that very soon. You can integrate that with Microsoft Authenticator like what you did for Azure. Yeah, right. So I'll be trying to create one Linux machine over here, and in that Linux machine, I'll be running the Python code as well as uh, the database. Okay. So for now, what I'll try to do is I'll go and create a database over here itself. Okay, because on my system, I have installed something called as Docker. Okay, generally I'll not recommend installing Docker on the local machine. That is something which developers would like to do. Yeah, right now since we are acting as developers, it makes sense for us to install Docker on our machine. But when we are learning Docker, our focus will be completely on servers. Yeah. So now we'll be learning about Docker in approximately 1 month from now if you have enrolled to DevOps. So there we will try to understand what a container is. But this is a new way of running your application. Any server-side application you can try to run inside the Docker, and it is an optimized way. And if you want to take it to production, we'll go to Kubernetes. Okay, right, fine. Let me try to see what are the images which I have. Okay, I'm basically working on some other activity. That's the reason you will see a lot of images in my system. Volumes. Okay, right, sir. So the first thing which I'll try to do is I'll try to set up Postgres on my machine. Okay, the easier way to do that is create a file. Don't worry about this file. This I'll be trying to share it with you, and I'll try to tell you the command on how to run that. All you have to do is when you run this command, you will basically see Docker Compose up and running. Okay. So for that, without any writing any of that YAML jazz, what I'll try to do is let me go to this. Okay. I need a Docker Compose file with for my fast API with Postgres database. You can use any database. I'll be using Postgres. Okay. మీరు ఏదో కంటైనర్లు రాయటం మన పని అనుకుంటారు కదా, ఇది చూసారు ఎంతసేపు పట్టిందో దీనికి రాయడానికి. It doesn't take a lot of time. Okay, right. Now this service, whatever we are trying to build, let me try to call it as library. Okay, and I'm going to build the library. Okay. I don't need any volumes to be very specific. Okay. It runs on 8080. Fine. Postgres. Postgres also, it's a better idea for us to, okay, you can use this application as it is. Okay. Right. Now, what I can do is I can go into this machine and then I can title the Docker compose up, and what is the name which I've given for database? DB. Okay. All right. DB hyphen D. In this day and age, there is no need for you to write version. అందుకే అది ఏడుతుంది. Okay. Fine. So right now what is happening is the Docker container is getting created with Postgres pre-installed inside that container, and we will be using that to store our application data. Oh, I have not given 5432, is it? Thank you, sir. 5432 and 5432. Docker compose down hyphen D hyphen RMI local hyphen V. Don't worry about all of that. You will be learning them very soon. Up down and bit, sorry, right. Okay. Right, sir. Now, if you try to look into it, the database which I have created is, oh man, inkosar cheyali daridran. Okay, let me try to call it as library. Okay, username is user and password is password. Now, what you can do is you can install a software which is called as Azure Data Studio, which you can use MySQL, any database of your choice. Generally, in relational world, if you want your data to be faster and cheaper, then MySQL, then Postgres is the best option. If you want it to be simple, MySQL is the best option. If you want to go for enterprise softwares, then you have SQL Server and Oracle. They're kind of costlier. Okay, right. Now, what I'll do is let me try to edit the connection. Okay, or let me delete the connection first of all. Okay, so what you can do is you will try to see something like this, and I'm quite sure that you might have installed the extension of Postgres here. After you install the extension of Postgres, then try to tell that I want to create a new connection. What is our database? Our database is PostgreSQL. And what is our server's name? It is local host, because I'm trying to run it on a local machine. Authentication type is SQL. Oh. Okay, server name is localhost, that is your machine. Okay, if you are trying to run on a Linux machine, you will give that Linux's credentials to connect to it. And then the username is user, and the password is password. Adega manu pass chesindi ikkada. Username is user and password is password. Whatever you pass, that will be username and password. And then let me try to click on connect. Did it connect, sir? And now if you go into databases, are you seeing library table? And in this library table, there is nothing as of now. Empty. Okay. So ideally, what is that we'll be trying to learn during our graduations and all of that stuff? You need to go and then create a table, create database, create table. I am not going to do all of that nonsense. We know object-oriented programming. Let us try to use that to create databases. So, right. ORM frameworks. Okay. To be very specific, we will be interested in something which is called as SQL Alchemy. So there are many others also, sir, but this is most widely used in Python. In the world of Java, you would come across something called as Hibernate. In the world of .NET, you would come across something called as entity framework. But the basic idea of this ORM framework is ORM stands for object relational mapping. So if I have to create a table, ideally, what is that I need to do? I need to learn SQL. So I need to learn how to write SQL select statement, SQL create, insert, update, delete. I'm quite sure that databases is part of almost every education now, where you will try to learn basic SQL. Okay. So now if I have to create a table, okay, let me go over here. Postgres SQL tutorial. If you basically go, you will find a lot of them, sir. W3 schools chodam, ఇది easy ఉంటుంది. Right. So what is he trying to tell? You can try to write. So this is what is it he's trying to tell? Select cars. So there is the table called as cars, and he's trying to tell that give me all of them. Okay. Now here he speaks about how to create a table. You have to do all of that. Okay. So I'm giving a link to this. Okay. So ideally there is a software which is called as pgadmin, which you can install to connect to the databases. But the reason why we have installed Azure Data Studio is Azure Data Studio works with many databases. Tomorrow, if you're trying to work with MySQL, all you need to do is same software, find a MySQL extension, install that, and start using it. ఒక్క ఎడిటర్తో అన్ని డేటాబేస్లో ఆల్మోస్ట్ కనెక్ట్ చేయొచ్చు. That's the reason I've referred Azure Data Studio. Okay, right, sir. So generally, for interacting with databases, we use SQL. Refer here for SQL tutorial in Postgres. Okay. ORM frameworks, okay, helps mapping tables to objects. Okay. In the world of Java and C#, you would try to come across two terms called as POJO and POCO. POJO basically means that plain old Java files, and POCO that comes from plain old C# files. So over here, what you are trying to do is you are trying to write basic code like what you try to create another class, and that class will try to handle all the database requests for you. Now, and developers need not, okay, have to code anything specific to a database. So for example, if it is SQL Server, okay, or if it is Oracle, or if it is Postgres, all right, or it is MySQL, I need not write different code. This ORM framework will handle all the complexity for you. So when you are trying to write the code, we create mappings. Okay, what is that mapping? Table to class. Okay, right. To insert, query, update, or delete, we will be dealing with objects, not SQL queries. Okay, ideal ga em rayalante, right? So let me try to show you Python code to create or insert a record in Postgres. Are you seeing he's writing a SQL query? Yeah. So to insert in Oracle database. So as a developer, what is it you're trying to do? You're trying to write code where you're trying to build your queries, and you're trying to build format strings so that you form that query and then you execute that query and then you get the results. Okay. So if it is Oracle, again, the story is same. Okay. So why do I need to do all of this? Why don't I basically deal like how I'm dealing with normal objects and get the problem solved? that is something which is done by ORM frameworks. Okay, so in Python, SQL Alchemy is one of the popular ORM frameworks. Okay, and we will try using SQL Alchemy in our Fast API project to deal with library. Am I clear on this, sir? So again, let me quickly try to share one SQL Alchemy tutorial. You need not do all of this. This is little beyond what is expected from a DevOps engineer, but there is nothing wrong in learning this. So I'll give you this tutorial. We'll be trying to write the code. All you need to do is, let me try to show you this. I don't need all of this. Okay, you need to install a pip framework. There is no stuff to it connecting to database. Okay, right. So let me come to here. So what is he trying to do? He's trying to create a customers table. So for that, what is he writing? Class. If he wants to give a different customer name, he will be passing double underscore under table name. And then he's trying to tell that I will be creating a customer table, which will have a field called as ID. Name is column, name and address and email. Okay. So this is equivalent to you doing this. Okay. Now, the basic idea of SQL Alchemy is we need this session, and using these sessions we will be able to basically try to deal with this stuff. Are you seeing customer? Okay, so what is that he has done? He has basically created something called as base, and whenever he wants to insert a new record, what is he trying to tell us? He's creating an object, and then he is passing it to session, and then he's trying to tell that commit. That's it. I mean, database, this is equivalent to you inserting a record. Now, in the same way, if you want to get all of them, okay, if you want to add multiple, that is fine. But if you want to get, you will be basically using session methods itself. Okay. So are you seeing select all of them? So this is select query, right? Okay. So select everything from customers table. Manaka chakri avasam session dot query customers dot all. So this is equivalent to select all. And inside that you can try to write filters, order expressions, everything. But you will not be writing SQL queries. You will be dealing with code. That is the basic idea. Okay. Right, sir. So now I want to do this for what? So yesterday we have created a book request. Okay. So in this book request, whenever user tries to basically select a or send a book, we want to store that information in some database. So for that we have created a model. Now, how do I basically deal with SQL Alchemy in Fast API? Okay. So what did you understand the idea of ORM framework? In ORM framework, you will not be writing SQL queries. You will be basically dealing with objects. Okay. And each object will be or object is mapped to a database table. So you can try to create foreign key, all relationships, right? So first let us try to make it straight away. So let me go over here. And then first thing which I need to do is, okay. Right. Let me try to write it down. Let's add the database to our API. Okay. So first, activate virtual environment in library and install the following packages. Okay. So the first one which we require is pip install SQL Alchemy, because this is going to connect with it. But to connect to the database, Okay. Fast API, SQL Alchemy, Postgres, dependencies. Okay. So this is basically the article which it tries to speak about. Okay. Now what he's trying to tell us, install SQL Alchemy. That is more than enough. And how to create a database URL. But whenever you are trying to work with Postgres, we need to install one extra dependency. Okay. But first, let us get started with this. Refer here for documentation. Okay. So what is it I need to do? Pip install SQL Alchemy. In the world of Java, they will be installing something like Hibernate. In the world of .NET, they will be installing Entity Framework. Okay, right. Even in Python, there are many other libraries. Okay, fine. So we have done it. So let me basically go over here. Okay, pip packages for Postgres and SQL Alchemy. There are asynchronous packages also, but let us try to do synchronous. It need not. We need to add this one extra. Okay. This is specifically needed by SQL Alchemy to communicate with Postgres database. So this is the next thing. Am I clear on this, sir? So two packages. So pip freeze requirements.txt. Generally, whenever you're trying to develop for web programs, you will have a pattern. You have to ensure that all of those objects are connected and then you have the necessary stuff. Okay. Right, sir. Now, if you try to look into the stuff, how will the external people, or for example, you are a DevOps engineer, okay, you have created a database using Terraform. Now you are creating a EC2 machine using inside that you are running this fast API. Now how can I set the database connection? Okay, the easiest way of doing that is environmental variables. The easiest way of doing that is environmental variables. And generally, when we try to write environmental variables, what would happen is we will try to forget what are the environmental variables which we are using in a code. So the best way to deal with it is, so let's try storing all the necessary config. Okay, or let's try reading, not storing, all the necessary config from environmental variables, and also create a file to have defaults. Okay, so I'll try to, I want to have default environmental variables in a file. If the user sets environmental variable, that is a priority. That will be having the highest priority. If he doesn't set, it will try to take it from a default one. So how can I basically do that? So for this, okay, I'll use this itself. Show me how to use python-.env. Okay, all right. So are you saying pip install python.env? Yeah, right. And then what I'll try to do is I'll try to create a env file. And whatever environmental variables that are required for my application, I'll store in this env file. And then I'll try to tell whenever my code is running or wherever you want these environmental variables, I'll try to write this one function and then get all of them. Okay, simple kada. So now this env file is something which you can pass in Docker Compose also. Yeah, this is kind of a standard approach. Every language has some way of basically doing it. So this is how this is the importance of environmental variables whenever we are creating Docker containers. In Docker containers, you are supposed to pass environmental variables, and internally this is read in this way. So now for that, what I'll try to do is let me copy this You don't need these many citations. Fine. Yeah. Right, sir. So let us try to use this. So I'll be trying to tell pip install python hyphen dot env. Now pip freeze requirements dot txt. Now what is it I'm trying to do now? I'll try to go over here and then I'll try to create a dot env file. And right now I just need only one thing, which is what is my database URI. Okay. I'll try to tell that if the user doesn't pass anything, for me the database is username at the rate of password at the rate of localhost, because in my system the things come from localhost. So now what would happen is this will be set as an environmental variable whenever your Python application is reading, and whenever it wants to read this value, it will try to take the value from here. Does it make sense? Yeah. Now, wherever you want this environmental variable, now all you have to do is you have to use this code. Where is it? Okay. ఏ function లో అయితే మీకు environmental variable కావాలో, all you have to do is from .env, import .env, load .env, and directly get environmental variables. Clear? Okay. So anything. So for example, if your Python application needs AWS credentials, set them as environmental variables. Okay. Your application basically needs database URIs, username, passwords, whatever it wants. You can follow the same approach. Okay. Right. Fine. I'll be using this, but right now let us go over here. The first thing which I'll try to deal with is I'll try to create something called as DB. Just like API, I'll have DB. And the first thing which I'm supposed to do is I'm supposed to deal with database connection. So let me try to create database.py. Okay, right. Yeah, it is needed by SQL. The additional dependency which we have installed is required by SQL Alchemy to connect to Postgres database. Okay, sir. So now this module will have database connection and necessary methods. So this is almost same for you all the time, but if you remember over here, what is it I need? I need to load environmental variables, right, in this. So let me try to tell import OS. So from .env import load.env. And now whenever you are trying to load from .env file, there is nothing which you need to pass. Okay. So load.env. What this will do? Loads the values from .env file. Okay. And skips them if there is already an environmental variable set. ఇది ఏ వేరియబుల్ అయితే చెక్ చేస్తుందో ఆ వేరియబుల్ తో ఆల్రెడీ ఎన్విరాన్మెంటల్ వేరియబుల్ సెట్ అయ్యింది అనుకోండి, ఇది రీడ్ చేద్దాన్ని వదిలేస్తుంది. ओके. सो जो भी वेरिएबल्स अगर आपने एक्सप्लिसिटली एनवायरमेंटल वेरिएबल्स बनाया तब ये यहां से रीड नहीं करेगा, अगर नहीं है तो यहां से उठाएगा. दैट इज हाउ इट वर्क्स. नाउ okay, so I'll try to tell that get the database URI. So database underscore URI, this is the connection string, os dot get env, and what is the name which I have set? Database underscore URL. URL అనేది అందాం. Am I clear on this, sir? So now at this point, what this it will have? It will have an environmental variable, and user also has an option to set that as an let me go back over here. So I have installed SQL Alchemy. So I have selected the database. Okay, then I need to create engine. Okay, so if it is Postgres, your URL looks like this. That is what it is trying to tell. So did we have that? And if you try to look into our environmental variable, which you have said, Postgres, what is your username? What is your password? In which machine is your Postgres running? What is the port and what is your database name? So database name for me is library. Okay, ఇక్కడ కూడా library కింద మార్చాలి మనం. Done? Okay, sir. So the next thing which I need to do is I need to create a SQL Alchemy engine object. So this is engine. So ఏ మాత్రం సిగ్గు లేకుండా ఈ కోడ్ యాజ్ ఇట్ ఈస్ కాపీ చేసి, because this is the standard way of doing it. There is no other way. Okay, right? But create engine is not something which I have written, right? So fine. So where will I get create engine from? So that is what it is trying to tell. It is trying to tell that you have these things which you get from. Yeah. So now do we have create engine? Okay, right. Now basically the next thing which I would require is I would require this session maker. So this session is something which will be used for you to get the database connections. So for now, let me try to use it. I'll slightly change that. Let me first copy paste it. Okay. And then the final one is base. Ye code rasna is common. There is no, whenever you want to connect to the database, especially relational database from Fast API to any database, you will be trying to write this. Are we clear on this? Yeah. Now, basically, whenever you are trying to, once you create this base, this is used for us to import or to create models. So now over here, I'll try to create a new file, which I'll try to call it as models.py. So this module contains database models. Okay, let us try to make some changes, sir. Nenu id is equals to string annana. Okay. Let it be string. It's okay. No problem. So let me go with models.py, and then I'll try to tell that from db.database, for me import something which is called as base. And now what I want to do is I want to create a table class which is called as books, which is derived from this class which is called as base. Okay, and now this represents the database table books, and over here what I need to do is under table name ఏదో ఉంటుంది ఒక్క నిమిషం. Yeah, so this will, you don't need to pass that. If you don't pass that, it will try to set the table of its choice, but it is better that we try to do it. So the table name inside the database is going to be books. Now what should be the structure of this books? What are the fields that are required? The first thing which I'll be trying to agandi exactly copy this, right sir? So prastaniki I'll have id, and for that I need something called as column, and SQL Alchemy basically tries to give me all of this. So try to get these dependencies, because we can delete them whenever some of the things which you are not using. So I'll try to tell that my id is, yeah, and then email. Okay, but we don't need email, right? Let us go back to this models.py. Let me select it. So let us try to see what is the structure which we have taken. So we'll have id. I'll try to change this type of the id. I'll make it as an integer over here also, but fine. So మనం book పంపిస్తున్నప్పుడు we will be trying to set ID. Yeah, I'm not sure why it is. ID is this, and the next thing which we need is title. Okay, so it is trying to tell that do you want title to be unique? Not necessary. So right now I don't want to put any restrictions. Let us just first insert the database. తర్వాత మనం తీసేసి మనం నచ్చింది చేసుకోవచ్చు. Right? Author. Ideally, the author has to come from a different table, but for now it's okay. And then ISBN. Okay, ISBN is also column of string, and then published underscore date is equals to column of, where do we have date? Date. Am I clear on this, sir? Fine then. Any problem with this? Okay, right now we don't have any much of relationships across tables because we are writing only one table at this moment. But if you try to create many tables, then you might have this. Okay, so this is basically the table which I had tried to create. ఇప్పుడు దీని బాధ ఏంటి? Unused boolean తీసాం కదా ఎక్కడ? Undefined variable data. This is just because of slow execution. Fine, sir. So right now I have created only one table which is basically called as books. Okay, fine. Now the thing which I basically need is I need to interact with my API methods. So whenever ఎక్కడ రాసాం మనం? Okay, direct main.py లో రాసామా? Okay, fine. So what I need to do is whenever user tries to tell get all books, I need to get from database. Whenever user tries to tell that create a book, I need to store it in database. Okay, so how do I do that? Before that, let us try to give this a little bit of, this method gets all the books from database or all the books. Okay, this method creates a book. Okay, but there are certain things which I need to change in this responses. So it is going to be the int, and example, let me try to give something like 1. Okay, ఎందుకంటే మనం ఒక టైప్ ఇంటిజర్ పెట్టాం కాబట్టి. Okay, now let me go to this models. Okay, this is fine. Okay, now ID నిన్న మనం రాసిన ఐడికి ఇక్కడ 1 అని పెట్టాలి ఇప్పుడు, because it is no longer a string or 1002, something like this. Fine. So this is something which you need to change, but for now what I'll do is I want to just run this application. I'm not connected to the database, I have not done anything fancy, I just want to run to see if there are any errors in this. I want to just look into that Swagger documentation and then try to see how is my API looking like. So localhost 8080, sorry, localhost 8000/docs. So book response model ID integer అయిపోయిందా? Yeah. Okay, sir. Now what I want is I want to have database dependencies. Okay, so this is the point where we need to take this a little bit ahead. So I've created tables. Okay, this is all relationships, that's all fine. Okay, right. So one thing which you need to do is whenever you are trying to basically create the models. So right now we have two different things kada. ఒకటి ఏంటంటే ఏపీఏలో మోడల్ గురించి ఇది రాసాం, డేటాబేస్లో మోడల్ గురించి ఇవి రాసాం. సో వీ నీడ్ టు కన్వర్ట్ ఫ్రమ్ వన్ టైప్ టు అదర్ టైప్. సో ఐడియలీ ద వే యూ నీడ్ టు డూ దట్ ఇస్, okay, for example, let me try to do this. So let me try to create something called as Python. Okay, now so from API dot models, antena, in this we have something called as books response. Okay, now if I try to tell that B is equals to book response of ID equals to 1, title equals to test, and author equals to test, and ISBN equals to test, and or date insert cheyala. Excellent. Fine. Let me go over here. From date type, import date. Okay, and now all I have to do is I have to basically try to tell the publish date is date dot today. Now if I try to print B, I get all of this. Now the point is this is something which API gives me. Okay, ఇది నాకు API ఇచ్చేది. Database కి వెళ్ళాలంటే if I have to go to the database, I have altogether the other class which I need to worry about, which is in models there is something called as. Okay, so let me also try to do this. Now from database or DB and rachama, yeah. So from DB dot models, okay, DB dot models, import books. Yeah. Now if I have to create a books class, what is it I need to do? I need to tell that DB underscore books is equals to books of అని చెప్పి మళ్ళీ ఏదైతే రెస్పాన్స్ నుండి వచ్చిందో, ఏదైతే రిక్వెస్ట్ నుండి వచ్చిందో ఆ వాల్యూలు అన్ని ఇందులోకి పాస్ చేస్తా ఉన్నా. సో ఐ నీడ్ టు పాస్ ఆల్ ఆఫ్ దిస్ వాల్యూస్ ఇన్ టు ద stuff. So it looks like a horrible idea, right? Because what I need to do is I need to try to tell that b dot id. Okay, you need to try to pass something like id is equals to b dot id. So because in books response or books request, whatever object which you got, and then title is equals to b dot title. ఇలాగే రాయాలి. ఇంత దరిద్రం ఏమి లేకుండా there is one way. So there is something called as, whenever you are working with ORM models, there is something called as model underscore dump. So when you dump the model, you will get a dictionary of all of the items which are present inside it. So now all I need to do is db underscore books is equals to books of b dot model underscore dump. Okay, so ఏం మిస్ చేసాం మనం? takes one positional arguments, would have given 2. Fine, ఇలాంటిదే చేద్దాం. I need to basically try to write something like star star. Now if you try to write db underscore books now, okay, so db underscore books dot id 1 వచ్చిందా? సో ఈ కన్వర్షన్ చేస్తూ ఉండాలి. So we need to convert API into database and database into API. Okay, so even if you have any number of columns, now you need not write the code. Am I clear on this? And this is nothing fancy. This is a Python's inbuilt model. Do you remember star star KW args? Yeah. So what is star star KW args? Whenever you pass any name value pairs in the form of a dictionary, it will try to take varied keywords stuff. That is the syntax which you are using here. Star args is only positional arguments. Star KW args is name as well as value. That is what is in use. So దాన్నే మనం వాడుకున్నాం ఇక్కడ. నేను ఇది కూడా చేయదలుచుకోలేదు అనుకోండి, దీనికి కూడా ఒక మార్గం ఉంది. I don't want to do even this. Okay. So generally in that case, what we will try to do is, I'll try to go over here in the modal class. Okay. In your API response models. And then here I try to write inner class, which is called as config. And in this config, I'll try to put ORM_mode is equals to true. Am I clear on this, sir? దీని అర్థం ఏంటంటే, this is something which is designed so that it interacts with the ORM model. Are we clear on this so far? So right now, మనకి సేమ్ ఒకేలాగా కనపడే రెండు క్లాసులు ఉన్నాయి. ఒకటి API నుండి వస్తుంది, ఇంకో డేటాబేస్ నుండి వస్తుంది. So as of now, we have one class which comes from API and one class which comes from database. Now, what we need to do is, I'll basically try to go to this main.py and I'll eliminate all of this and I'll be trying to write this stuff. So for this, what is it I need? I need how to connect to the database. So over here, do you agree that we need to get database connection here? Yes. Okay. So once you get a database connection, it is very easy to work it out. Okay. So now, but first, before I go there, because that is altogether about writing one method and the things will be done. Did you understood now that we have two classes which look similar? So what is the class that is defined from base model? మీరు docs లో పాస్ చేసేది ఇది. Okay. So in DB_models also I have books, but this represents a database record. Okay. Books is a table and every object represents a record. So how do I basically bind relationships between these two? This is a standard procedure. Okay. But at this moment, let us take a break, come back for 5 minutes, because this is slightly different from what you guys do every day. Okay. So let me try to define a dependency and then let us try to insert the data, so that we insert the data and then we get the data back. Are you clear on this, sir? So ippadu chesinది అర్థమైందా? What is it I have done so far? I wanted a table called as books. So for that I have created a structure called as DB. In that I have defined connection. This is a standard code. Whenever you try to want to connect, you will be writing the same thing, no difference. Okay. So in this I have defined something called as base. In this I have created engine. Engine is which database I am trying to connect, and that information I am getting from environmental variables. I have tried to get .env. From here I got the base method, and this is something which I am using to create models. This is something which I am using to create database tables. Okay. Now in this I have defined a structure. Okay. When my API basically, whenever it creates, it doesn't give me this. It gives me this. Are we clear on this? Okay. So what is the class config? That is configuration, extra configuration if you want to send it to the base model. Yeah. You need to read the documentation, sir. Okay. That is how it works out. Yeah. Since we are doing a standard procedure, I'm trying to basically give you all of this. Okay. Fine. Now what we need to do is, from our API, we need to get the database connection. Okay. If you remember, our database doesn't have any tables created. Our database badly needs a table called as books. So how can we create that table automatically, and how can we start inserting the data and then retrieving the data from the code? That is something which we'll be trying to do. But before that, let us try to take a small break. Yeah. Okay. I'll be sharing this code, don't worry about it. But the point is, this might not be expected from you as DevOps engineers or as cloud engineers. Okay. But this is how generally we, as when you are working in a database and cloud, we have this normal question, sir, how does application server know where the database is? This is how it knows. It knows with the help of configuration files. In this case, we have used the configuration files which comes from environmental variables. Environmental variables is the most common mechanism in Docker containers or in container world. Okay, right. Let us go out for a break, sir. Okay. Okay, sir. So, yeah, man. Class names generally start with capital casing, right? Yeah. Okay. So let me go with database, and then let me try to write a method define get db. This method gets database. Okay, and db is equals to session local try yield db. Finally, db dot close all. Okay, fine, sir. Okay, so this method will try to get the database connection. ఈ మెథడ్ వాడితే ఏమవుతుందండి డేటాబేస్ కనెక్షన్ వస్తుంది. సో దిస్ మెథడ్ బేసికలీ డిఫైన్స్ ద డేటాబేస్ కనెక్షన్ ఫర్ యూ. ఓకే, రైట్. db is equals to session local of. What is the problem? Okay, I might be doing some syntactical mistake. Let me ask it. Get db method to yield database. This is almost standard. Okay, db is equals session local. ఇదేగా మనం రాసింది db dot close. Okay, fine. It's not close all. It's basically close. You will always try to see the same standard methods. Okay, అంతేనా మనం రాసింది? Okay, fine. Good. Let me go to API now. Okay. Now, do you agree that this method basically has dependency on database? Yes. Okay. Now, all I need to do is write this part. DB is a session object. And what is session? Session is something which we have defined over here. From modals, sorry, db dot modals or db dot database import session local or session local అసహ్యంగా ఉంది పేరు, సెషన్ మారుద్దాం ఆగండి. ఓకే, ఫైన్. ఉండమండి సెషన్ లోకల్. Okay, right. So let me go over here, session local and get db. Session and then depends on get db. Are we clear on this, sir? Okay. Now all I need to do is I need to basically get all the tables which are of type books. Ante kada? So for that, all I need to do is simply this stuff. Items is equals to db dot query of what is the type which we are trying to get. We are trying to get the type books in our case. So from db dot modals import books. So db dot type academics and show me all imports. ఇది మనం మిస్ చేస్తున్నాం. We need this for type printing, otherwise it will be slightly difficult. Okay. Okay, and depends. db dot query. So what is it I'm trying to query? I want to query everything. So query everything of type what? Books dot all. Antena? Written. Now what happens is whenever you call this API will try to query all the books and then it will try to give the response. We have given response model is list of book response. Okay, sir. Now show me the post request. So for you this is always the same. ఏ దేనికైనా ఇంతే కదా. I don't want to post. Yeah. So all you need to do is db dot add item and db dot commit and db dot refresh. So over here also try to take this. Okay. You need to add this to the last. ఇది ఎప్పుడు లాస్ట్ లో ఉంటుంది. Okay. And don't try to return. Basically try to tell that db underscore book is equals to books of. Okay. So how do I get it? I get all the requests in request. So request dot modal underscore dump. Antena? Okay. Yeah. Request dot modal underscore dump and then try to use star db underscore or db dot add db underscore book. Commit means now store it to the database. db dot refresh. Okay. And while you are refreshing also you need to give db dot book and then return db underscore book. So ideally what is it we had to supposed to write over here? Insert into book table all the values. I am not doing all of that. I am making 3 simple calls. Try to create a modal object and then save the modal object and then give the response. And we have given the type as book response. Okay. Let us try to see if this works or not. Yeah. So ఇష్టదైవానికి దండం పెట్టుకొని మొదలెడదాం. Fine then. Let us try to see. One thing I forgot. Okay. Now, generally there is one more thing which I need to do. This will create all the database tables. Comma base. Okay. Now what it does is this method will try to see if in your database if there is a table called as books created. If it is not created, it will create it. If it is created, it will not do anything. Okay. పనిచేయదు. ఓకే, ఇప్పుడేంటి ప్రాబ్లం ఏంటి? ఓకే, సిగ్గే ఉందో ఫస్ట్ నుండి స్టార్ట్ చేద్దాం. Let me put a breakpoint over here because I want to know what is the URI that is getting into place. Okay. What is the database URL which we got? Okay, that looks okay to me. Invalid DSN, check same. 1 minute. ఈ చెక్ సేమ్ థ్రెడ్ లో ఈ దరిద్రం అవసరం లేదు, తీసేద్దాం. లెట్ మీ ట్రై టు రిఫ్రెష్. ఓకే సార్. Okay, now if you remember earlier we didn't had any tables, right? Now are you seeing there is a table called as books that got created? Yeah. So right now I'll try to go over here and then I'll try to tell that give me all the values that are present inside the book. It is empty as of now. Okay, sir. Now let me go to this and then let me try to execute this method, get all books. Try it out and execute. So what is it I'm getting? Empty response, because right now there are no books. Now let me try to create a book, post a book. Yeah, I'm okay with it. Try it out and then let me try to click on execute. So db book, add, commit, refresh, and then it says that I have inserted the book for you and this is the response which you got. Okay, ఇది బానే ఉంది. ఇప్పుడు ఇక్కడికి వెళ్ళి మళ్ళీ సేమ్ క్వరీ రన్ చేద్దాం. Did you got it? Is it not simple than inserting and writing SQL queries? This is what ORM does. Okay, now let us try to insert one more book. Okay, so ఈసారి డోపమిన్ డిటాక్స్ అగైన్ అని కొడదాం. నేను మళ్ళీ మార్చదలుచుకోవాలి చాలా వాల్యూలు. So there is no need for me to do break points anymore. Sorry. Are we clear on this? Yeah. Now let me try to go over here and get books. I should be getting 2 books when I execute this time. Am I getting 2 books? Okay. So present ఏం చేద్దాం అంటే local host http://localhost 8000/books/ Rala response. Yeah. Now this is equivalent to what? Sending a curl method. Where is it? Okay. Now if you want to get it from command line, go over here. Are you getting the book, sir? Okay. Now what are the other methods which you wanted? So I want to add get the individual book and all of that stuff. Okay, right? So shall we implement that? For that I'll be taking the help of ASR because the methods are already defined. Okay, నేను ఇవన్నీ రాయదలుచుకోలేదు. You just have a look at this code. Okay, anyone who is fresher, try to implement the whole library and then try to put this project in your GitHub. Try and tell that you have practiced fast API and databases. Okay, now we have created the book and then okay, let me go over here. App dot get book/books id. ఇది ఇంకా డీబగ్ చేస్తుందా? రైట్, అయిపోయింది. Because once you write the methods, it is straightforward. That's it. So app dot put define update book @app dot delete define delete underscore book. App dot patch అవసరం మనకి అవసరం లేదు. App dot options. Right. Fine. Options మనకి అవసరం లేదు, but options basically tries to tell you what are the things that are basically available. పెద్ద కష్టమా సార్ ఇది రాయటం? ఒక టేబుల్కి రాసిన తర్వాత మల్టిపుల్ టేబుల్కి రాయటం ఇంకా కష్టమా? No, it's not. The whole point is all you have to do is you will try to see the similar code everywhere. Okay. Now if you try to see, my API will be more comprehensive now. Let me try to do F5. ఫ్రెషర్లకు ఉద్యోగాలు ఎందుకు వస్తలేదు అర్థమైందా? All I have to do is try to write one method, and then this $20 per month API or AI tool will help me writing all the other stuff. Okay. So నేను ఒకటే కదా రాసింది. I have written a create method and I have written a get method, and based on that it was able to identify my style of coding and it was able to generate everything. Okay. Right. Now the table exists, so it will not do anything. Done. So you go over here. Now you try to go to 8000/docs. Or you can get post, get put and delete. So first let me get all the books. Try it out. Execute. Okay. I have 2 books with ID 1 and 2. So now let me try to get a specific book. I am interested in a book with an ID 1. And then let me execute. Rala? Yeah. So I want to update the book with an ID 2. And then let me try to show you other book. Your brain at work. దీని గురించి రాద్దాం. Okay, so your brain at work. Yeah. ఈ పుస్తకం ఎందుకు చూపెడుతున్నానంటే ఖచ్చితంగా పని అవుతుంది మీకు. ఓకే. Where is this? Yeah. So I'm trying to tell that my title is Your Brain at Work, and who is the author? David Rock is the author. Okay. I don't know ISBN, so I'm trying to do this and execute. So right now, did I got it? Now let me go over here and then try to run the statement. Am I clear on this, sir? So now my application is not storing anything. It is storing everything inside the database. Make sense? Yeah? Okay. Fine, sir. So this is how you create APIs. Wonderful. I want to create APIs and this is how I do it. Okay. But I want you to continue writing the other part, because we had other. We had to the other models inside the book library. ఒకటి రాసినా సరిపోద్ది, మీకు ఇంట్రెస్ట్ ఉంటే కంటిన్యూ చేయండి. లేదు ఇదే చాలా ఎక్కువ ఉంటే ఇక్కడ ఆపేసినా పర్లా. బట్ యాజ్ ఎ in your resume or in your GitHub, if you want the whole project, then it would be a good idea to implement that and add it to your GitHub and paste your GitHub URL in your resume, especially for freshers. Yes. Okay. Right. So ప్రస్తుతానికి మనం git add dot git commit -m added కోడింగ్ కష్టం అంటున్నారు కదా. ఇప్పుడు నేను ఇలా 4 క్లాసులు, నాకు 40 టేబుల్ ఉంటే 40 క్లాసులు రాస్తాను. ఓకే. ఏపీఐ కాల్ చేసినప్పుడల్లా db.query or db.add or db.update. ఏమైనా పని ఉందా అసలు ఇందులో? Kubernetes లో అయితే ఎన్ని తెలియాలి? Right, in Kubernetes you need to know many things, many system aspects, but as a developer all I need to understand is how my code effectively runs within a process. My scope is very much limited, especially for the first 3 to 4 years in my career. Yeah, after that I need to gain the system knowledge, but that's the point which I'm trying to tell. Okay, right, sir. Now if I go over here, yeah, refer here for changes done to insert or to create an API which stores the details in Postgres database. Okay, to just give completeness also, what I'll try to do is I'll try to make one more change. Okay, అలాగో మనందరికి ఎంతో కొంత DevOps తో అవినాభావ సంబంధాలు ఉన్నాయి కాబట్టి let me try to create file, new file, and then let me try to create a Docker file. So this also నేను రాయను, fast API Docker file. So right now I'm using 3.11 if I'm not wrong, 3.11, and workdir is going to be this, and copy all of this. But while I'm copying this, create a Docker ignore file. Ante. Right. So let me go over here. So for the people who have not learned Docker yet, నేనేమి రాయలేదు, మీరేమి చూడలేదు. Okay, but for the people who know Docker, all these days you are getting a Docker compose file with everything in place. And right now if you try to see, I have a library service, or let me try to call it as library API. Okay, now let me do one thing. Let me try Docker compose. I'm deleting everything. I'm deleting the database also. Okay, fine. Build container name fast API app. నాకెందుకు కంటైనర్ నేమ్ నీకు నచ్చింది ఇచ్చుకో. Fine. పోన్లండి ఉండండి. UVcorn, our application runs on this library. Okay, Postgres here library. Okay, sir. So now Docker compose build. So I'm building the fast API image. Whatever I'm trying to speak, if you don't know Docker, నేనేం మాట్లాడట్లేదు, కావాలంటే పడుకోండి కాసేపు. If you don't know Docker, but for the people who know Docker, what is it I'm trying to do? I'm converting my fast API into an image. డెవలపర్లు ఇక్కడ వరకు చేసి ఇచ్చేస్తారు సార్ మేము. Till this point, developers will give you writing the basic Docker file. But the problem with this Docker file is this will have security issues. I am running as a root user. I'm not handling environmental variables correctly. I am not exposing it. That is all your headache now. Yeah. Right. Did I expose on the Docker locker? Yeah. Now Docker compose up hyphen. Okay, sir. Now let me go over here. Localhost colon 8000 slash docs. 8000 ఇచ్చానా 88 ఇచ్చానా? 8000 ఇచ్చానుగా. Okay, now let me go to the containers library. రెండు రన్ అవుతుంది మరే రోగం. It says it is running. Okay. Yeah. Error enti? Connection to DB service refused. ఎందుకు DB కనెక్షన్ ఎందుకు రిఫ్యూజ్? మన ఎన్విరాన్మెంటల్ వేరియబుల్ తప్పుగా పాస్ చేసామా? సర్వీస్ నేమ్ ఇస్ DB. Inside the container it is unable to. Okay, let me try to restart. UVCon running on this. ORM mode has renamed attributes. User warning. Okay, these are warnings. That is fine. Application startup has been completed. Yeah. గత జ్ఞాపకాలు ఉన్నట్టున్నాయి దానికి. Okay. Fine, sir. Now let me try to get all the books. Fine, empty. Now let me try to create a book. Okay. So now again let me go and execute it. So if I execute, I should be getting one book. So update we have seen, delete చూడలేదు కదా మనం. So let me go to the delete and then try it out and delete a book with ID1 and execute it. So what is it I got? Content book deleted successfully. And now let me go back to the get all books and execute. I should be getting an empty list. Okay. Sigge on the multi create చేద్దాం. Execute. So I created a book. So this time the ID I don't get one again, I'll get two. Now if I'm connected to the same database, because this is the same database which I'm connected to, are using dopamine detox, right? So is this working? Yeah. Now what I'll try to do is I'll try to run this on a Linux machine. Whatever I've tried to run locally, I'll try to run it on a Linux machine, because all you have to do is execute the same command again. Okay. So now ప్రస్తుతానికి నాకు ఈ సిస్టంలో దీంతో పని లేదు ఇంకా. I'm deleting everything. Git status git add dot get status. Oh, stage for committing. Docker file changes చేసాక commit చేసామా docker file? Yeah, we have added. Git commit -m added. ఎందుకు? Okay. Okay, sir. So now if you want to run this on a Linux machine, okay, we have one activity after this. Let's run this project on Linux instance. So I think Gopi and Lakshmikant have shown you how to create a machine and install Docker. Yes or no? చూపించారా లేదా? Do you know how to do that? Create a machine and install Docker? Okay then. So now quickly let me try to create an EC2 instance. Key pair la అని చెప్పేశారా? SSH key జన్ అవ్వలేదా? చేయలేదా? ఇవాళ రేపో చెప్పండి. Yeah. Fine then. So let me try to create a machine with Docker installed. Let me try to take Ubuntu operating system. Come on. Right. And let me try to select a group. Okay. And let me try to launch an instance. So you can create any virtual machine, sir, whether it is in AWS, Azure, or GCP. All I need is an Ubuntu machine where Docker runs. So now let me connect to this machine. SSH. Right. Now let me try to install Docker. So for that, okay, I have to execute just couple of commands. sh. And while this is happening, I need to clone the code. Unfortunately, you have to clone this code, no other option. నాకెంత ఓపిక లేదండి ఇది అయ్యే లోపల ఇంకోసారి కనెక్ట్ చేసి క్లోన్ చేద్దాం కోడ్ సో ఆన్ అదర్ టెర్మినల్ ఇట్ ఇస్ ఇన్స్టాలింగ్ docker. So now git clone and you are getting this stuff, right? Just go to the code and get this stuff and execute git clone command. So get into cd August and ఇందులో ఏంటో చేసాం APIs and cd library. So generally, if I'm not wrong, Python 3 will be installed in this machine already, but we are not using Python 3 to run this. If you want to run on Linux machines, there is no need for you to specifically install Python. It will be pre-installed. Okay. Oh, boy. Right. Now what I'll do is sudo usermod -ag add to the group called as Docker a username, which is my current username, which is Ubuntu. Right. Then exit, re-login into this machine, get into, right, and August Python, August 24, APIs, CD library. And all you need to do is docker compose up -d. Once you execute this command, what happens is it will bring the Postgres container. It will build that local Docker image with that Python application, and then it will try to run both of them on your machine. While this is happening, what we will try to do is, if you remember ISBN, okay, so let us try to see. I have created an API, but I want to learn how to use an API. We will try to write a couple of programs on how to, rather than you acting as a server from Python, how can you act as a client so that you speak with REST APIs. In DevOps, there will be many times where you need to send a request to the REST API, get the response, and parse the response. Okay, so that is something which we will try. Okay, fine, sir. This will take some time to build. Okay, yeah, give me 5 minutes till it is done. Okay, now ఇదే step మీ machine లో చేయండి. It will take somewhere around 5 to 10 minutes, and then you will see the application up and running. And right now it has only one API, which is books. But ideally, to make it a library, we need to write many other APIs. ఇది అయ్యాక పిలవండి. Try to share your question in Telegram, sir, if you are getting that error. Okay, Unicode errors is something which should not happen. Remove your virtual environment, recreate and run it. Okay. వాతావరణ ఇన్ఫర్మేషన్ తెచ్చుకుందామా? Okay. Can we hide public repos by creating C groups in GitHub? Sir, how is it related to what we are doing right now, sir? Sir, in GitHub, you can create private repositories, right? Why do you want to create public and then make it private, make it hide? Okay. Create a private repository. Right, sir. So if you try to see, this is what it is, right? Now let me try to go with HTTP. This is that server's IP address, colon, 8000/docs. Oh, 8000 ఓపెన్ అయ్యలేదా ఇందులో? అసలు రన్ అవుతుందో లేదో. Docker PS. It says it is running. Then the only thing that, no, to my knowledge, I have created a security group where everything was open, but still, let us try to have a look at it. Yeah, everything is open. Okay. So, Carl, http://localhost:8000/books. మనం ఏంటి చేతం తప్పే ఉందా ఇందులో? కనెక్షన్ రిఫ్యూజ్డ్ బై పిఆర్. రన్ అవుతుందా అవ్వట్లేదా? డాకర్ logs or Baba. I think there is dependency issue, sir. Docker compose down, Docker compose up. Yeah, right. There is a dependency issue, but fine. Let me try to get all the books. Right now there are no books. Now let me try to execute this. I get this book. 2 సార్లు 3 4 5 నా ఇష్టం. So ideally I should have put some uniqueness, but that's okay. We have not done any of that. So right now, if you try to look into this and then execute, so I get too many records. Yeah, right. Totally how many? 40. Now I can send this request from my local machine, curl http:// what is it? What is that server's IP address? One minute, sir. Not a connection issue, dependency issue. We are starting the application before database. That's it. Oh, 88,000, not 8080. Are you getting everything? Yes. Now you take this URL and open it in a browser, you will get the same request. You can put a request, and this is something which you will basically get. Are you clear on this, sir? Yeah. Right, sir. Now let me go over here. నాకు ఈ తర్వాత పెద్దగా పనులు ఏం లేవు ఇప్పుడు. I am deleting this machine. Okay. Now watch classroom video for steps. ఎలాగో నోట్స్లు చదవరు డైరెక్ట్గా నేను వాచ్ క్లాస్ రూమ్ వీడియో రాయితే పోదు డైలీ నోట్స్లో ఒకటే మాట. రైట్. సో sending API requests from Python code. Okay, right, sir. So first thing for this, till now, what is that we are trying to build? We were trying to build the server side. So how to create APIs? That is fine. But most of the time, you as a DevOps engineer, what you will try to do is, I want to write a Python code. When I hit this, it should start a Jenkins job. When I try to run a Python code, it should go and fetch the information from GitHub repository, what is the latest commit and who has done that commit. So when you want to do these kind of things, then we will not be creating APIs, we will be using APIs. Okay. So just for fun, first thing which we will try to do is, let's write a simple client to get weather information. Okay, right. So now open weather API. Refer here for the API. This is the API which is written by someone else, not us. Okay. Now, if you try to look into it, you can basically try to get current weather and forecasts. You can make 1,000 calls per day for free and all that stuff. We will be manage as 1,000 level. What is the current weather? And if you try to look into API doc, what I need to do is I need to send this API, and then I need to give latitude, longitude. Okay, what is your app ID and all of that stuff. So now let us assume that I want to send a request. So till now, what we have not dealt with and what we will be dealing with from now on is the tokens or some kind of authentication information. Okay. So first thing what I can try to do is, let me try to see if I can sign in. I want to create an account and username. I'll దీంట్లో ఏముందో చూద్దాం ఆగండి. QT Kajak. Yeah. వెదర్ ఇన్ఫర్మేషన్ తెస్తానికి 16 ఏళ్ళ కన్నా పైన ఉండాలంట. ఇన్స్టాగ్రామ్ చూస్తానికి ఇదేమీ లేదు. రైట్. సో now let me try to create an account. Okay, what is a company? So I am not a company, I am a student. Purpose, education, save. Okay, so are you seeing there is something called as historical weather collection of any location. Okay, and there is a weather dashboard. Let me, okay, they have sent me a confirmation mail link. Let us చూద్దాం ఏం పంపించారు. Account confirmation, verify your email. Okay, sir. Fine then. Are you seeing API keys? And are you seeing there is a key which is basically present for me? I need to edit the API key name. Why will I edit it? I'll try to copy this key. Ideally, you should be generating keys. So let us try to have this key over here. Okay. Now, let me go to the API. And what is it? Current weather and weather forecast. Minute forecast for 1 hour. Okay. Weather forecast for any time stamp. Right. ఇప్పుడు లాటిట్యూడ్ లాంగిట్యూడ్ కావాలి వీడికి. మళ్ళీ అది ఎక్కడ నుండి తెచ్చుకుంటాం? రైట్. సిటీ పేరు ఇచ్చేస్తే సరిపోతుంది, మళ్ళీ ఆ లాటిట్యూడ్ లాంగిట్యూడ్ ఎక్కడ తెచ్చేది? ఓకే, సిగ్గేముంది, అడుగుదాం. హౌ టు గెట్ latitude and longitude of any city? Is there any free API? దీంట్లోనే ఉందా? ఓకే, If that is the case, so what is that he's trying to tell that you need to send a request to this. So what is your city code? ఎక్కడో డాక్యుమెంటేషన్ రాసే ఉంటారులేండి. సో నేను ఎంత సావలేను కానీ యూజింగ్ ఓపెన్ వెదర్ మ్యాప్, ఓకే, బేస్డ్ ఆన్ ద సిటీ నేమ్ ఆర్ ఏరియా నేమ్. మరి కంట్రీ కోడ్లు ఇవన్నీ ఎందుకు? ఓకే సార్, ఒకసారి చూద్దాం అసలు ఏంటో. సో లెట్ మీ ట్రై టు సెండ్ దట్. ఐ వాంట్ టు హైదరాబాద్. ఓకే, ఒక్క నిమిషం, ఇది మార్చొద్దు. రైట్ సార్, there is a tool which is called as Postman, which is very good at checking these APIs manually if you are trying to send. In Visual Studio Code, there is an extension called as requests. You can use any of these requests to basically try to test APIs. Okay. ఇప్పుడు మనం డెవలప్ చేసిన ఏపీఐని కూడా ఇందులోనే టెస్ట్ చేస్తారు టెస్టర్లు. అమ్మా, రైట్. So let me try to create a new request and I'm sending a HTTP request. What is it? This is what it is. Okay. Q is equals to హైదరాబాద్. స్టేట్ కోడ్ సెంట్రల్ కోడ్ మన దగ్గర లేదు కానీ ప్రస్తుతానికి తీసేద్దాం, నాకు పెద్ద లిమిట్తో కూడా పని లేదు. యాప్ ఐడి ఈజ్ ఈక్వల్స్ టు మనం ఏదో కీ కాపీ చేసుకున్నాం కదా, రైట్. సో ఇన్ ఏపీఐ కీ లెట్ మీ ట్రై టు సెండ్ దిస్ అండ్ లెట్ మీ ట్రై టు సెండ్ రిక్వెస్ట్. ఇన్వాలిడ్ ఏపీఐ కీయా, సరిపోయింది. మై ఏపీఐ కీస్ సర్వీసెస్ ఏమున్నాయి మనకి? ఓకే, మనకి అంత అవకాశం లేదేమో. ఫోన్లేండి, అయితే డైరెక్ట్గా అడిగేద్దాం. రైట్, లాటిట్యూడ్ అండ్ లాంగిట్యూడ్ ఆఫ్ హైదరాబాద్, ఇండియా. పాకిస్తాన్లో కూడా ఏడిచింది అందుకనే. రైట్, సో దిస్ ఇస్ ద లాటిట్యూడ్, దిస్ ఇస్ ద longitude. Okay, now let me go with this API and current weather and forecast. Okay, let me try to take this. Okay, okay, so what is the latitude of Hyderabad? It is 17 point. Okay, longitude exclude ఏంటి? By using this parameter you can exclude some parts of exclude is equals to I'm not worried about minutely, I am not worried about alerts. Please note that calling requires one. బాబోయ్, వీళ్ళు అసలు చూసారా, మొత్తం ఏది ఫ్రీకి ఇచ్చి సత్తలేదు. వాట్ ఇస్ ఇట్ ఐ కెన్ యూజ్ ఫర్ ఫ్రీ దెన్? చిచ్చి, వాతావరణం తెచ్చుకుందామని ప్రకృతి సహకరిస్తుంది సార్. ఏపీఐ ఫ్రీ అనే రాసి వచ్చాడు కదా అక్కడ. We didn't give an API key, is it? Oh, right, sir. అన్ని ఫిల్ చేసి ఇది మర్చిపోయినా, రైట్. ఫ్రీ ఏపీఐలు ఏమీ లేవా? Okay, let us try to see if there is any interesting free API. So I want to try building Python clients for which I need free REST APIs. See, there is a GitHub REST API which is free. I can use it, but it will sound boring. I wanted to try something. Open weather first ichadu, add free gettala. Geo5 places allow searching places by name, address and locations. ఇదేమన్నా ట్రై చేద్దామా? పోస్ట్ మ్యాన్ ఎక్కువ ఏపీఐ. ఇందులో ఏమి ఏడిచింది? ఇందులో ఏమీ లేదు. ఇందులో ఐ వాంట్ సంథింగ్ విచ్ ఇస్ where we can get some information, sir. Places API, pricing, free, start now, 300 correct. మనకి ఇదే కావాల్సింది. డబ్బులు ఉండే పథకాలు అసలు వద్దు. రైట్, కంటిన్యూ. Okay, so create a project and generate an API key. Okay, create a project. Let me try to call it as learning. Okay, and choose a API. ఇందులో ఏది వాడాలి ఇప్పుడు? జియో కోడింగ్, ఆటో కంప్లీట్ API, రౌటింగ్ API, ప్లేసెస్ API వాడదాం. ఓకే, రైట్. సో choose an API key. So this is what an API key which I have, because this is the way of authorizing APIs. వీడియో పైథాన్ కోడ్ ఇచ్చాడు మహానుభావుడు. రైట్, fine, sir. Now let me try to send this from Postman. బా, రెస్పాన్స్ చూస్తే ఎంత సంతోషం ఎప్పుడు రాలే నాకు జీవితంలో. ఫైన్ సార్. సార్ ఈస్ సేయింగ్ we are getting some response. Yeah, okay, right. So that means that at least there is something that is working. So let me go to the docs. And what was the API which we have looked at? Places API kada. See all docs. So what is this places API? Is a powerful tool to query local points. ఇన్నివ్వాలా? ఓకే బాబోయ్, టూర్ ప్లాన్ చేస్తాం అనుకున్నాను, ఏపీఎల్ కూడా ఇలా ఏడిచినాయి. URL examples. Search places by multiple categories. ఇది ఏ ప్లేస్ సెర్చ్ చేయడం ఎంతకి? లాటిట్యూడ్ లాంగిట్యూడ్ నుండా? అమ్మా, రూట్ ప్లానర్ అయిపోయేది ఇంకా పగులుద్దేమో. Search places within a city district. Okay, sir. ఓ పని చేద్దాం, ప్లేసెస్ API ఫస్ట్. లెట్ us try to go to places API. Okay, more than 500. Get started. Choose the categories to search. Commercial, supermarket. ఓహో, ఇదే ఇది చేసేది. నేను ప్లేస్లు అంటే ఇంకేదో అనుకున్నా, పోనీ సూపర్ మాల్. ఓకే, ఇప్పుడు హైదరాబాద్ లో మాల్ ఎక్కడ ఉన్నాయి కనబడద్దా? ఆల్మోస్ట్ క్వాలిటీ దగ్గరకు వచ్చినట్టున్నాం మనం. రైట్. ఉస్మానియా ఇక్కడ ఏ మాల్లే. ఓకే, దిస్ ఇస్ జస్ట్ ఎ మ్యాప్ సార్. రైట్, ఫైన్. Let us try to get it. I have created an account, that is fine. I got an API key, that is fine. I want to manage a project, that is fine. But places, pricing details, playground. Let me go with places API. ప్లేస్ డీటెయిల్స్ అనేది కనపడింది సార్, అది బెటర్ ఏమో. బాబోయ్, ఈ గీతలు గీస్తే దాంట్లో ఇడు ఉన్నాయి చెప్తాడా? నో సార్, నాట్ హ్యాపెనింగ్. ఐఎమ్ నాట్ గోయింగ్ టు ట్రై దిస్. ప్లేస్ డీటెయిల్స్ API. సో ఇన్నర్ రింగ్ రోడ్ ఎక్కడ ఉంది అసలు? ఇది హైదరాబాద్ లో. మనం ఎక్కడ సార్ ఇందులో? ఎంత అన్యాయం ఇది. పంజాగుట్ట వరకు వచ్చాం. యా, రైట్. బై క్లికింగ్ ఆన్ ద మ్యాప్. యా, దీనికి ఇది ఏమి ఇచ్చాడు సార్? రైట్. మనకు కావాల్సింది ఇదే సార్, ఇది తీసుకుందాం. సో దట్ విల్ గెట్ లాటిట్యూడ్ అండ్ లాంగిట్యూడ్ ఇన్ఫర్మేషన్. ఓకే, వాట్ ఈస్ మై API key? ఓకే, ఫీచర్ కలెక్షన్, ఓపెన్ స్ట్రీట్ మ్యాప్, ఇవన్నీ బాగానే ఉన్నాయి. అమీర్పేట్ మండల్ ఏదో ఒకటి సార్, ఏడవనండి. మనకి అమీర్పేట్ ఇన్ఫర్మేషన్ వచ్చింది కదా, దీనికి కోడ్ రాద్దాం అసలు. రైట్. సో ఇఫ్ ఐ హ్యావ్ టు రైట్ ఎ కోడ్ ఫర్ దిస్, హౌ డు ఐ డూ దట్? సో లెట్ మీ గో ఓవర్ హియర్, make their clients cd clients, and let me try to open. Okay, since I'm basically trying to create a new folder, so I'll definitely have requirements.txt. And let me try to create a virtual environment by focusing on terminal. Python -m venv dot venv. We need only one library, sir. That library is called as requests. Okay, to send the API calls in Python, there are two popular libraries or two popular packages. One is requests. Okay, so the other one is HTTPX. When you want async calls, then you go for HTTPX. For all the other things, we use requests. From requests, we can create HTTP requests. Okay, right. So dot venv scripts activate, and I'll be installing pip install requests. Right, let me select the interpreter, which is this, and let me try to call it as places.py. Okay, sir. So let me try to copy the URL, whatever I have copied first. Okay, but writing the URL like this is not a good idea. Okay, so for that reason, what I'll try to do is, okay, let me try to create something called as base underscore URL is equals to మన కేసులో ఇక్కడ వరకు. ఓకే రైట్. నా API key ఇదేనా మందే? Okay, ideally you should be getting API key from environmental variable. Right now I'm hard coding it. Okay, now latitude is equals to this, longitude is equals to this, ఇంకేం పాస్ చేయాలి అంతే కదా. Okay, fine sir. Now the request which I was trying to send over here was a get request. Okay, so all I need to do is import requests. Okay, right. Now if you try to look into this request library, once you request, you can start using get methods, put methods, and post methods and all that stuff. Okay, so request dot get. So what is it I want to get? I want to set a URL. So what is my URL? It is base URL question mark latitude is equals to latitude and longitude is equals to longitude, and I think it is API underscore key na API key. API key is equals to API key. So this is what the request does. Okay, right sir. Now once you try to get that request, you need to store that response object. So let me try to store response. Okay, now if response dot status code is equals to 200, give me the JSON and then try to convert that. So shall we debug this? Yeah. Okay sir. Now I'm getting an API key. I get request, and are you saying you get the whole response object? Okay, and then what is the response status code? 200. Since it is 200, I'm trying to tell that data is response.json and then print the JSON. Okay, so if you get response.json and if you are trying to print that, can't you convert it into a dictionary and then read all of the values? Because we know how to convert JSON into dictionary and dictionary into JSON. కుదరదా? కుదురుతుంది కదా, right? In the same way, you basically try to create requests. Okay, all you have to use is this request library. Now what I'll try to do is let me try showing this. Okay, so let me close all the other things, sir. Chala చెత్త ఉన్నట్టుంది. Okay, GitHub REST API. So are you saying we have a GitHub REST API? Okay, so if you want to authenticate to the REST API, what are the things which you need to pass? Okay, so here you need to pass the token. Okay, fine sir. So how to get that token? It basically tries to that you need to create personal access tokens and then try to create it. That's fine. So what will I do is, okay, I'm not write this code, you try this. Python code to get latest commit ID from the GitHub repo. So if you try to basically look into it, it will ask again request library. So in this case, what is that? You need to generate the token. So if it is a public repository, you don't need to do anything. You directly try to do it. Okay. Now, if the repo is private, then what it says, you need to basically pass token. Okay. సో ఈ టోకెన్ ఎక్కడ ఉండవుతుంది గిటబ్ లో యూ నీడ్ టు బేసికలీ క్రియేట్ personal access token and then basically try to pass to it. Okay, right. Not only this, write Python or create an API call to run the Jenkins job from Python. Jenkins also has a REST API. Okay, so what is that you will try to do? You will try to do that. You will get in Jenkins, you can generate token and you call it. Okay, so in your company, whenever you want to interact with anything, so for example, whenever DevOps job pipeline is successful, I want to update that information in ServiceNow. So what is it you will try to search for? You will try to search for ServiceNow API documentation. ఇలాంటిది REST API reference దొరుకుతుంది. మీ క్రెడెన్షియల్ కి అథెంటికేషన్ ఉంటుంది, అది ఎలా పాస్ చేయాలో చూడండి, ఏం అప్డేట్ చేయాలో చూడండి. డైరెక్ట్ గా మేక్ ఇంపోర్ట్ రిక్వెస్ట్ డాట్ గెట్ రిక్వెస్ట్ డాట్ పోస్ట్ రిక్వెస్ట్ డాట్ delete, and this is exactly what you would try to do. Okay, I am not asking you to do anything fancy. Okay, I have shown you how to create books on a Linux machine, right? So this is an exercise. If you guys are unable to do it, I will try doing that for you. But what I want you to do is, okay, ఇది రాసేద్దాం. మనంత అద్భుతమైన ఏపీఐ ఏం కాదు, కానీ ఇందులో పెద్ద పోయే నష్టం కూడా ఏం లేదు. రైట్, సో ఎక్సర్సైజ్, write a Python code to send requests to create, update and delete books. Okay, by running books API on the Linux machine in any cloud. చేయగలమా ఇది? So for this, all you have to do is, if it is your local machine, your command will be localhost :8000. Otherwise, it will be whatever your IP address :8000/docs. So first try to create a book. For creating the book, what is the structure? You have an API documentation. So you need to pass title, you need to pass author, you need to try to pass publish date, and you need to try to pass all of this information. Can you try this? Yes. So because the idea of this is, whenever you try to run any application has an API, any application. Okay, so you can interact by trying to write this Python code directly with APIs. Did we understood this, sir, or do you want me to try that? మీరు చేస్తారని నన్ను చేయమంటారా? All you have to do is simple 4 calls: request dot get all the books, request dot get specific book, request dot post, so update the book. So we have created the server and we are also writing the client. మనం ఇవన్నీ ఎందుకు చేస్తున్నాం అంటే, tomorrow if they try to tell that, okay, try to get the latest commit from GitHub in your repository and get that commit ID and store that in a database. ఇలాంటి జరుగుతాయి. So every commit ID, I want to store it in a database. Then how do you do that? Fast API lo mana raila SQL Alchemy. Try to create an SQL Alchemy for any database, and then where you will try to create a structure, commit ID, repository, and then who has done that commit. If you want to store this information in database, it is very simple to do it. So ఇలాంటి ఏమన్నా అతిగా చేయడానికి Python ఉపయోగపడుతుంది. So if you want to do something more than what a traditional pipeline does, we might need to write Python code. Are we clear on this, sir? Yes. So now, what are the things which we still need to discuss in Python? So right now we know basically what a web application is. Okay. Now what we will try to do is, we will try to see how to run these web applications in PaaS environments on Google Cloud, AWS Cloud, and Azure Cloud. And we will try to learn how to write serverless functions using Python in AWS, in Azure, and in GCP. And then we will try to do 1 or 2 administrative activities by writing some Lambda functions which are most widely used or commonly used, so that you need to have that information. So this requires us additional 6 hours. So which will be stretching over the weekend. So this weekend, both Saturday and Sunday in the evening sessions, we will have Python, which is used for how to use Python to use on specific clouds. Okay, approximately 2 hours each for every cloud. This is what is going to happen. Am I clear on this, sir? Yeah. So those are the topics which we will basically try doing over the weekend. And day after tomorrow onwards, tomorrow I have a demo, so tomorrow you'll not have a session. Day after tomorrow onwards, we will be starting Terraform in the world of cloud. Okay, సో ఎవరైతే ఇన్నాళ్ళు క్లౌడ్ ఎప్పుడు స్టార్ట్ చేస్తారు అని అంటారు కదా. టెరాఫార్మ్ ఇస్ సంథింగ్ విచ్ విల్ బి స్టార్టింగ్ ఇన్ డెవాప్స్ అండ్ ఇన్ cloud. I think we need to start compute. Okay, we'll be trying to learn what virtual machines are, how to deal with all of this. Okay, so that is something which will be starting from day after tomorrow. Are we clear on this? Okay, right, fine, sir. Kubernetes when బాబోయ్ నాకు అన్ని ఒకే రోజులో చెప్పాను ఉంటుందండి, కానీ కుదరదు కదా. రైట్, today do we have scripting classes? Do you want scripting classes today? Yes or no? Today try to write this request library. Okay, and one more thing, sir, you can try to basically do the same request in your using curl also. So using curl you can send a request to HTTP API. So also practice that. ఎలాగో రిక్వెస్ట్ ట్రై చేస్తున్నారు కదా, దాంతోపాటు కర్ల్ ఒకసారి చూడండి. ఆల్ యూ నీడ్ టు డూ ఇస్ Linux curl examples, or you can ask Perplexity. Okay, so whatever books API which you have developed, it will try to tell you how to use curl. Okay, request తో పాటు కర్ల్ కూడా ట్రై చేయండి. కర్ల్ is something which will be useful when you are writing shell scripting. Yeah, right. ఓకే, బాగా గుర్తు చేశారు, లేదంటే ఇప్పుడు మళ్ళీ దీనికి వేరేలా చెప్పాల్సి వచ్చేది. ఫైన్. Did we learn something in programming in the last 17 odd classes? లేదంటే అంత బూడిలో పోసిన 17 into 3 50 గంటలు బొక్క అన్నారా? రైట్. So did we learn something, sir? Yeah, again I am trying to tell, sir, the basic reason generally for a DevOps engineer you will never build an API. As a DevOps engineer you would have very rare chances that you will be building an API. Then why am I still speaking about it? The reason is twofold. One is, as a DevOps engineer you will be deploying applications all the time. When you are deploying applications all the time, your application speaks with databases, your application speaks with other services. At least if you know, అంటే మీరు ఆ ఫాస్ట్ API లో కోడ్ రాయరన్న నాకు ఖచ్చితంగా తెలుసు డేటాబేస్ వాడు. But still the reason why I did show you that is, tomorrow whenever we are trying to deploy something like Spring Pet Clinic, something like NOP Commerce, and we try to tell that in the background there is a database. మన క్లాస్లో చేసింది కూడా అదే కదా, వాళ్ళు పెద్ద పని చేశారు, మనం చిన్న పని చేసాం. So they will be trying to build the whole e-commerce application, and you and me have built a simple books ఒక్క టేబుల్ రాయడానికి రాసాం మన కోడ్. But the communication that is involved, whether you are trying to speak about one table or 100 tables, is same. So that is the reason first we will create a database, then we will try to create an application server. So first we will understand the order, and next thing is we understand the communication. To understand the communication, what is that we have passed? We have set an environmental variable with database connection information. That is something which you will try to do in all the languages. We have created a .env file. In some languages we will have .env file. In some languages there will be configurations where you will be setting this information. So all of this will be handy in that case. That is the first thing. And the next thing that is happening, or some people are hating it and some people like this idea. So there is something which is called as platform engineering. The basic idea of platform engineering is taking DevOps to the next level. So you are a DevOps engineer, so you work as a company within your company, and your customers are developers. So you should give internal developer platform is what they are trying to call. So developer will write the code, and then he wants your work to be exposed as APIs, as something which he can reuse. So this is something which is called as platform engineering. Okay. So when probably if this becomes more, you need to basically start building APIs. That is a other case. And the third scenario over here is AI. So whenever you're trying to basically build some AI application, you need to have a background of how to build a traditional API, because anything which we do will be exposed as an API, right? So that was the three reasons why I have discussed about all of this. నేను ఓన్లీ డెవాప్స్ గురించే మాట్లాడాలంటే రిక్వెస్ట్ లైబ్రరీ గురించి మాట్లాడితే సరిపోతుంది. సో వాట్ ఈస్ API? How to make requests from using request. But that is simple now, because we understand what get is, what put is, what post is, because we have not only used but we have created an API. So for that, that is the reason behind all of this. Okay. And one thing is, by learning at least 50% of what I have said in Python, you are already ahead of your competition. నేను చెప్పిన దాంట్లో సగం పైథాన్ నేర్చుకున్నా, మీరు మీ కాంపిటీషన్ కన్నా బెటర్ పొజిషన్లో ఉంటారు. The whole idea when you go to the interview is you should be better than your competition, then only you will be selected, right? Yeah. So other person also knows Git, you also know Git. ఏంటి తేడా ఏంటి? ఇంకా ఆయన మీకన్నా అందంగా ఉంటాడేమో, రైట్? సో the basic point is we need to possess more skills, right? So you need to try to tell or give an impression to an organization saying that, okay, I am a DevOps engineer now, I know a little bit of coding, but I fit anywhere. Tomorrow if you ask me to do anything, I'm okay to do it. So that is an impression which we should be giving, especially in this time. That's the reason why we have basically gone into all of this. Everything what you do as a DevOps, as a platform, developer should not be doing anything about DevOps. He should be concerned only about writing code, not Docker files. So creating reusable Docker files. ఏంటండి ఆయన అభయం ఇస్తే మీరేంటి ఆయన పిలుస్తారు, రైట్? Fine. So this is the basic reasoning behind all of this. Okay. So try to at least go through certain areas of it and ensure that, especially freshers, whatever Python code which you try to write, I want all of that in your GitHub repositories. కావాలంటే నా కోడ్లు తీసి కాపీ చేసుకోండి. ఓకే, డైరెక్ట్గా కాపీ చేసినట్టు తెలియకూడదు కానీ దాంట్లో, రైట్? సో try doing that, so that in your resume you'll give your GitHub URL. So that creates an impression saying that you have tried certain things. Whatever work which you do in Jenkins, Azure DevOps, try to put that in your GitHub repos, right? So this is something which that is the whole reason of why we are speaking about all of this. Okay, right, sir? Notes upload చేశాను, నేను చేయలేదు అనుకుంటా. Not all of CI/CD as APIs, but developer will just write the code and he expects the developer platform to handle the rest. Okay, that is a basic idea of platform engineer. Yeah, some companies are hating this idea, some people are liking this idea, but we don't know what the future is. It might or might not have traction, but yeah, there are people who have started opposing this already. Okay, sir, the notes is uploaded and we'll meet again on Tuesday in our respective classes. But over the weekend, we will have a session for 3 hours on Saturday and 3 hours on Sunday, basically on cloud based stuffs. రావాల్సిందే, తప్పదు. ఓకేనా? మీరు రాకపోతే అవసరమైతే 2 మామూలు క్లాసులు ఆపి ఏ చెప్తాను, because I'm not sure whether you are understanding or not. These things make you ahead of your competition. That's the whole idea. That is the importance of what you are learning. Yeah, right. ఫ్రైడే క్లాస్ ఉంటది కదా? ఫ్రైడే అంత స్పెషల్ ఏముంది? ఫ్రైడే ఏంటి అంతలా ఎందుకు అడిగారండి? శుక్రవారం సెలవు తీసుకుంటున్నాను నేను. నాకంత భక్తి శ్రద్ధలు ఏమి లేవు మేడం. యా, Oh, I said next class on Tuesday, Anna. Okay, okay, okay. Right, right. No, no. We will have a next class on day after tomorrow. Right. Fine, sir. Tomorrow you'll not have a class. Tomorrow I have a demo, sir. And day after tomorrow onwards, we'll be starting Terraform and compute on the cloud. Okay. రైట్ రైట్. నేను శుక్రవారం సెలవు అడిగితే ఇప్పుడు నేనేమన్నా పూజలు గట్ట చేస్తున్నాను అనుకుంటున్నారేమో. నేను దేవుడిని సంవత్సరానికి 2 సార్లు కోరుకుంటానండి. 2 సార్లు కలిసేది. అది కూడా 2 పండగలకి. ఆ రోజు కూడా వెళ్ళకపోతే మా అమ్మ బాధపడుతుందని. నాకు ప్రస్తుతానికి మతంతో కూడా పెద్ద సంబంధం లేదు. ఏ మతంలో ఉన్నా ఒకటే. ఎందుకంటే దేవుడు సమాన దూరంలో ఉన్నాడు నాకు అన్ని మతాల్లో. మొన్న రమణ నేను ఇదే మాట్లాడుకుంటున్నాం అనమాట. సో నువ్వు నేను ఏ మతంలోకి వెళ్ళొచ్చు అనే గొడవ లేదు. ఇటుంటే మసీదుకి వెళ్ళేది లేదు, అటుంటే గుడికి వెళ్ళేది లేదు. నీకు నాకు గొడవ లేదని. రైట్. సో ప్రస్తుతానికి అంత భక్తి లేదు కాబట్టి ఏదన్నా ఒకటే. రైట్. సో నేను శుక్రవారం అనేసరికి బాబోయ్ వీళ్ళు ఏంటి చాలా ఎక్స్పెక్టేషన్ ఉన్నట్టుంది. రైట్. ఓకే దెన్. Fine, sir. The notes is uploaded. We'll meet again day after tomorrow. And tomorrow in the evening, attend the session and you show them how to create a SSH key. Today. Yeah. మళ్ళీ రేపు కూడా చేయాల్సి వద్దాం, ఎల్లుండి కూడా చేయాల్సి వద్దాం. రైట్. ఓకే. Today in the evening, you will have a session from Gopi where they will be showing you how to create your own SSH key rather than generating a key from AWS. We'll be learning all of this in the class, but that is something which you can use. Okay, right. Thank you.